I am pretty pumped that there is a book coming out documenting low code and no code and saying, how this is the future of business applications. I think as we kind of inch toward being accepted as a viable way to produce software, milestones like this are exciting. Right? I'm happy to see this kind of stuff. So this is what Avi is saying when a book is written about a new industry, the industry is starting to mature and become mainstream. Yeah, like the part for me that's nice to see about this is it's just I remember when it was just so the Wild West, like this there was no there still is, I think, the standards are still being created and in a lot of ways it is still the Wild West. But I remember how even less standardization there was, even how much less standardization there was, 4 years ago, where there was barely any even content or documentation on how to use these platforms. You were just like figuring it out on your own. That's where I really started. When I started using Bubble, there was very little that you could rely on except for save for Bubble themselves and the forum. There wasn't that much YouTube content back in 2017. There was a few, like very early, like Gregory John, Gabby from Coaching No Code Apps. They were all super helpful in early in creating that content. But um, like it's cool to see how that people are actually writing books about this stuff now. The no code industry has been a reasonably new industry with various products such as Smart Suite, Stacker, Softer, Ply, Make, Zapier, WhaleSync, and Switchboard, addressing many different aspects and pain points. Consulting companies such as Sky, GAP Consulting, and Process Driven have been helping companies on board with the tools above. Now it's coming together in a new book from Phil Simon. I've never heard of Phil Simon before. I'm definitely going to buy this book when it's out. Seems like early December. But let's first see what people are saying about this. It's amazing to see the incredible rise of such amazing tools. I'll be my personal favorites at the moment: Notion, Make, Airtable, Bubble. Diving into a newcomer to my no-code galaxy, Figma. Figma's not that new. Well, maybe he's just saying for his own stack. I've also never heard of Smart Suite, which is Abby seems to be advocating for pretty strongly here. Any process, any project, one platform. Smart Suite provides a collaborative work management platform that enables teams to plan, track, and manage workflows, whether it be a project or an ongoing process. Doesn't seem exactly like an app building platform, kind of like an automator, maybe like a Make or a Zapier. Though I'm not sure. It's just my initial impression. Abby, I have watched your Smart Suite videos and found them very useful. However, you really need to mention Airtable in such a post as this, even though they are a direct competitor. It makes the polls bounce. I don't think Abby needs to do anything. I don't think Abby has to mention his competitor. Abby's putting out information. I don't think he's obligated to mention anybody. So, no, he doesn't have to do anything. Abby, this is incredibly quick response. Thanks. I look forward to more videos. I've staked my future thus far on Airtable. Well, okay, that's probably why you said that to begin with. But Smart Suite has made me think again. Competition is a great opportunity for the customer to win. I don't, he's not trying to list out all of the no-code tools here. That would be annoying. So I feel like that there's no reason to mention everyone's favorite no-code tool here in this post. There's no difference between no code and code. Oh, the difference between no code and code is that code uses programming language and no code uses human language. Sure. Love this. Agree with you. You should check out This is cool 40-page ebook about cyberpunk no code god that I think would be really helpful to you. I found it efficient. That's pretty cool. You can pre-order the Kindle edition. Book drops September 2nd. Can't wait to get the physical copy. Yeah, I need the physical copy too. I can't read on an e-reader. I've tried it. I've had a Kindle before, and I think any opportunity that I get to not have to stare at a screen, I want to take that. I feel like most of my life just jumps around from screen to screen, right? Like I'm staring at a computer all day for work. When I'm, zoning out, I'm either looking at my phone or the TV. There's very little opportunity. When I'm exercising, I still have my phone to listen to music. I'm not necessarily staring at the screen, but like reading is something that I want to do in a book. That's just the only screen break that I get that for prolonged attention. I feel like I need that. I stare at screens all day, and I don't know, it's got to have some negative effect on my brain. I'm curious about the book. I have developed a no-code, low-code system with automated software production for office and business solutions. Customers can deeply customize the software and develop utterly new software solutions themselves spontaneously and without redeployment, of course. I'm very interested in what the competition can do while starting the marketing of my system end of year. It's coming very soon. This book seems exciting. Avi, thanks for sharing. Yeah. All right, so let's people seem, excited about this. I don't know Avi either. Let's tab over into Phil Simon's page here. Just want to take a quick look at what's book, and maybe it'll give us a little bit about what to expect. Pre-order the Kindle version. Drops in 34 days. The future of coding is coming. Wait for it all. No coding at all. For decades, our relationship with workplace technology has been, in a word, complicated. The pandemic only made it more so. The stats are astonishing. 2 in 3 employers can't find qualified candidates to fill their open IT positions. By 2024, the deficit in software developers in the U.S. alone will hit 500,000. Supply and demand for techies are out of whack, and most alarmingly, there's no end in sight. The effects of this labor market imbalance are profound and difficult to overstate. Nearly 3 in 4 technology leaders can't focus on their strategic priorities. Countless other firms, departments, teams, and leaders have struggled because IT can't deliver the tools they so desperately need. Adding salt to the wound, business units now need new applications to address the logistical challenges posed by pervasive and remote hybrid work. Now, I really like this because it's focusing on the company side of application of these no code and low code tools. It's not so much speaking at it from the founder and startup perspective. There's so many different ways that we could utilize these tools in different areas, and I think this is the first time I'm really seeing a dedicated book or resource to how can we use these tools in a business setting. About how do I test out a new startup idea? So I like that. I like that we're expanding the way that we're using and thinking about these tools. I think that's important. I think that's important for mass adoption, and I think it's very important that the people who would otherwise be creating the software that these businesses need also are behind these newer tools as a way to lighten the load on themselves. I think that's an important part of these tools being accepted. Effects of the labor market imbalance found. I read that already. Organizations are at a crossroads. They need to solve these thorny tech problems now, but how? In low-code, no-code citizen developer and the surprising future of business applications. That's the name of this book. My 13th book definitely illustrates how, thanks to powerful new tools, a new breed of employees, organizations are finally fulfilling critical business needs and reducing their reliance on pricey software developers. Low no code is an invaluable treasure trove of insightful analysis, synthesis, examples, and advice. At the risk of being immodest, it will be arriving at the perfect time. Arrives in December 2022, but you can pre-order the Kindle version now. All right, should we read this excerpt? I don't know. Too much? Application development in the here and now. Workplace struggle, workplace tech. The struggle is real. Where you stand on depends on where you sit. For decades, our relationship with workplace systems, applications, technology has been complicated. In October 2018, the high-end professional service firm from PricewaterhouseCoopers surveyed more than 12,000 employees across different countries and industries. As a lot, rank-and-file workers chafed at the tools their organizations required them to use. For example, nearly 3 in 4 respondents reported knowing of technologies that would improve the quality of their output. A little more than half felt that their leadership chose workplace tech with their employees in mind. Perhaps not surprisingly, the folks in the corner offices sang for a more sanguine, I don't know how to say that word, tune. Figure display 1.1 displays the chasm between the two cohorts. Experience in chasm in workplace tech. Percentage of respondents who agree with the statement, my company pays attention to people's needs without introducing new technologies. 90% executives say that yes. 10% say no, 47, and that's about half. So, interestingly, even though I just went on the tangent about how this is a problem, it's interesting that this is being applied to a business setting. I like that. I like the diversity of these of you applying these tools. The problem is still the same. The executives think that are introducing tools that the people are not really, it's not focusing on the users, the end users. So the problem in both situations are the same. It seems to be a recurring thing. Introducing new features and new software platforms to use in a company setting or in the startup and founder world. If nobody can use this, or this tool is ill-fitted for the people that you want to use them, what good are they? What good is any technology? It's supposed to make someone's life easier. So it's interesting to see that parallel here. In a word, wow, there's at least an upside. There's nowhere to go but up. In its report, PwC correctly notes that status quo affords plenty of opportunities for senior leaders interested in improving their employees' well-being. Top brass would also do well to finally address the critical and long-standing deficit in the workplace tech. Sure, the required investment in new applications and technologies would be sizable, but so would the potential returns. Employers could increase employee satisfaction, performance, and even retentions. Would the juice be worth the squeeze? In theory, the answer is obvious. Well, it's weird because I don't know if they're talking about are they talking here about purchasing new software, or are they talking about, I don't know. I can't. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure what the is this a I don't know. I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say. Isolating cause and effect. In practice, however, things were murkier. After all, the real world is a messy place with a myriad of factors at play. It's nearly impossible to ascertain if an independent variable increased tech spending. That's what I was trying to say. Okay, so the increased tech spending, are they talking about buying software, or are they talking about hiring more employees? I can't tell. I don't understand how they're using tech here. They're using tech in a very vague way. Affects a dependent one, employee performance, never mind to what extent the arrow can go both ways. In an alternative universe, researchers could also use the controlled environment of a laboratory to answer these interdependent questions, experiments, placebos, random assignments, double-blind studies, and other techniques would definitely isolate cause and effect in the process, provide conclusive, inarguable answers. Fortunately, all hope is not lost. Academics, researchers, and social scientists have for decades embraced natural experiments to find solutions to thorny real-world problems. They routinely study and analyze real-life solutions to ascertain the relationships among the variables. Their job isn't easy. Let me drop this. Let me drop the link in the chat for anybody that's interested in this book. Coming out early December. Just reading a quick excerpt from this to see kind of which direction they're taking this. Gartner predicted that global IT spending in the U.S. alone 20 would hit 3.8 trillion. Now, IT, I assume that they're meaning here like software engineers, platforms that they're actually, the software that they actually purchase, server space, like IT. It's not just the personnel; it's also the hardware that's supporting the network. All of the things that go into technology, which is very broad here. No doubt that the quick part of the uptick stemmed from the pandemic in 2020. KPMG reported that businesses spent an estimated $15 billion extra per week on technology to enable remote work. Those numbers certainly qualify as significant cabbage, but was the money well spent? Was there a return on the investment? A word disappointing comes to mind. A June 2022 study found the following. 90% of employees report being frustrated with the applications they use in their current positions. 71% of leaders acknowledge that employers will consider looking for a new job if their current employer doesn't provide access to the tools, technology, or information that they need to do their jobs well. That's an interesting fact. That's an interesting stat. So people consider leaving their jobs if the tools that they have to work with are not adequate, if they can't do their job well. I honestly, it sounds so obvious, but I never would have thought of that as being that important. It seems obvious in retrospect. According to the separate 2021 survey, 1 in 5 employees said their existing workplace technology made their job harder. And I can even attest to this. In companies that I've worked for where the technology was just so far behind, and we were kind of like fitting our what we did around the technology as opposed to empowering what we wanted to do by the technology. Like we would have to shoehorn the way we did things to match whatever software platform the decision makers said we were supposed to use. So I understand the frustration there. And in retrospect, it does seem like that would be something people will consider when deciding whether or not to go to another job. Seems like a legitimate reason. Throw shade at your IT department if you want, but it and its employees are often convenient scapegoats. True. It's easy to blame IT. Rapidly rolling out new applications and systems isn't easy under normal circumstances, to say nothing about pandemics, regardless of what management gurus claim. Digital transformation, a piece of business jargon that I despise, is a tough row to hoe. Never heard that expression before. A tough row to hoe. In reality, resource-related challenges are old hat. They've been plaguing IT departments since long before the pandemic. In April 2018, Salesforce Research released its enterprise technology trends. Among its most interesting findings, 72% of IT leaders claim they lack the time and resources to work on their own strategic projects. Ever-increasing project backlogs prevented them from focusing on their critical priorities. Again, the company gathered these statistics before COVID-19, and the Great Resignation shook many IT departments and the organizations behind them. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of, in the things that I'm reading lately, I'm seeing a lot of these tools and the importance of these tools tie back to the Great Resignation, as they're calling it. People quitting their jobs in pursuit of greener pastures and working for themselves. And the no code and low code tools seem almost synonymous with the Great Resignation, because the people that I guess the idea is that the people or the tools can replace the people that left their companies. I guess that's the way that they're thinking about this. More than a year into the pandemic, a decent chunk of employers struggled to stay afloat, let alone be profitable. In June 2021, Accenture reported that 28% of firms were operating without proper tools and processes at scale. What's more, 1 in 5 organizations claim that their backlog exceeded 50 initiatives. Ouch. Now, that's a department within any given enterprise. Matter more in the abstract. It turns out, however, that some groups are more important, a point that COVID-19 drove home. The pandemic validated the importance of workplace tech. Starting in March 2020, workplace technology went from important to downright essential. The reason is simple. Under the extraordinary circumstances of COVID, millions of employees simply could not work without lots of new tech. Slack co-founder and CEO Stuart Butterfield was an early media darling on how to navigate our new normal. Ugh, I hate hearing that, the new normal. One of his frequent talking points is particularly salient here. Although employees couldn't meet in person during the days of the lockdown, they were able to remain productive because of the communication and collaboration tools at their disposal. And yes, Slack, of course, was one of them, although now it's a part of Salesforce. The data supports Butterfield's assertion. HR and workplace benefits consulting firm Mercer surveyed 800 employers in the months following the outbreak of COVID-19. 94% of respondents said that employee productivity was the same or higher than before the pandemic, even when they worked remotely. Wow, what a staggering stat here. Employee productivity was the same or higher than before the pandemic, even when they work remotely. Flip the scenario, though. Imagine if we'd worked in our usual offices and met in person, but we couldn't communicate via sophisticated digital technologies. The pandemic work-related outcomes, equivalent worker productivity, and relatively minimal disruption almost certainly would have been different. All right, so I can kind of see I think it's making an argument for, we need the shortage of IT resources and people. And we have to talk about this like people, not just like this commodity. Technically competent people. There's a shortage of that. And I think the argument in this book is going to be that we can replace that shortage, that lack of availability with tools, with different tools, low code and no code tools. So a business application, and there seems to be a place for these tools, and that there is it can really solve a problem for businesses, large, small, medium, whatever. We always talk about enterprise, and the tool has to solve it, scale to enterprise level. But say for example, you've got an accounting department or an actuary department of like 20 or 30 people. They don't have the right tools that they need to do their job efficiently. Someone comes along and says, hey, we're going to use Retool. We're going to use Retool to build this thing that we're all pissed off about. And they do that. And that solves a problem for 30 people in the company. And now that company is 80% more effective because of the tool that they were able to build for themselves. How is that not useful? That is useful. And it didn't require somebody with coding skills in order to build that. Right? It's a very specific use case that can be built with, Retool. Well, actually, no, Retool. Not now that I say that, Retool it did kind of require some coding experience. All right, let's see what else they're saying here. FAQs. Who are the intended audiences for the book? In no particular order, 8 come to mind. Leaders such as CIOs and directors, head of business units frustrated that IT can't deliver the tools in a timely manner. Team leads, small business owners, millennials who want to up their skills, freelancers and solopreneurs who need to track different projects and clients, project managers, proper coders who want to expedite their development efforts. I think this is the most important one right here. I shouldn't say the most important, but like, I mean, all of these are applications, but this is like the most interesting that they're including proper coders who want to expedite their own development efforts. I love that. How much coding prior knowledge do I need to benefit from this book? Precisely 0. All right. There you have it. I'm pumped about this. Again, I like to document and pay attention to these milestones as no code and low code tools inch towards legitimacy and being a viable way of building software and applications. I love to see things like this coming out, and I'm excited to get this book. I'm excited for it. I'm gonna sign off for today. I will catch everybody next Monday. Have a great weekend. I'll be back on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll catch you then.